Yes! Welcome back to another amazing, magical episode of Make Your Point. I am here joined with my pal, Jesse Staple, all the way in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm up here in Syracuse. This is the farthest apart we've ever been, and I hate it. Zach is in Boston. He will be joining us later in the show, and we're going to have some fun with him. But to start things off, Jess, the Miami Dolphins started off 3-0. They lost 3. They're 3-3. Tua's been out for these past 3 games, dealing with everything about the concussion protocol. We lost Teddy Bridgewater. We lost Skylar Thompson last game. What do you think about the Dolphins going forward? What's their outlook for them? Do you still see them making the playoffs? Give me all the insight.
I mean, I love this team with Tua. And I got to be honest, I love the team with Skylar Thompson. I like the team with Teddy Bridgewater. I think it's hard to measure how these guys have played just because the week Skylar Thompson came in against the Jets when Teddy got hurt, he didn't have first-team reps, vice versa with Teddy this week. And Skylar, actually, he looked good in the first few drives he had. And we really had a chance to win that game. And the Vikings are ranked number 4 or 5 right now in the power rankings. They're looked at as a top team. And that'll take us into another topic, how balanced the league has kind of become this year. And, the Dolphins now are number 23. And I think that discrepancy in the rankings, it's not true to how we played
100%.
And how we've been playing. Like teams like the Steelers, the Colts, the Saints, the Falcons, the Patriots, we beat week 1, Raiders, Packers, teams who have all just Titans, teams who have not played well and have not really barred many serious injuries are all ranked ahead of us. And, you have to take into account the fact that, obviously we haven't had Tua. But at the same time, I still think we have a better football team than a lot of these teams. Our only real weak spot is our offensive line, which,
it's been atrocious.
3 of our quarterbacks have gotten injured. That's crazy.
Well,
that's
just
crazy.
So you brought up a good point. The team has one big weak spot, and yet they still haven't been able to perform without Tua being in there. Has these past 3 games without him proven how important Tua is to this Dolphins squad? Because the first 3 games, the team looked so together. The chemistry was elite. Mike McDaniel was coaching them up. They got some really elite wins. They're probably the first 3 wins of the season were the teams that they expected us not to be. So how is Tua's impact going to be when he returns this week, Sunday night in primetime against Brian Flores and the Steelers?
Well, Tua's one of those players who doesn't get rattled. He has taken so many injuries throughout his career, which is it's a big problem. You never want your quarterback to be constantly injured because you want to be on the field as much as possible. But I don't think that this injury history and especially just this one that happened recently, the concussion, is going to prevent him from playing and being confident and playing exactly how he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
We all know what Tua is capable of. We all know what he can do, what he can't do, where his strengths are, where his weaknesses are. And I think on this football
he has no weaknesses. He has no weaknesses at all.
As a Miami Dolphins fan, yes, he has no weaknesses. But I'm
a Tua guy.
We know that. We know that. I mean, all your tweets speak aloud.
I mean, follow me on Twitter _Adam Avin. I got all the insight on my own personal opinions.
Yeah, personal opinions. You gotta specify that because if people read that,
yeah. No, I'm not reporting. I'm just whatever I want to say. But continue.
But yeah, I mean, another thing is that people now there's headlines saying is it time to start scolding Mike McDaniel and talking about is he in the hot seat now? And I'm thinking to myself, are you crazy? Are you nuts? I mean, we haven't looked like an incompetent team once this whole season. You haven't. Usually by this time, week 7? By this time, you have scratched your head at least 30 times. Your hair is ripped out.
At least for the Dolphins.
The Dolphins do.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say that was questionable was those 5 penalties we had against the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think you're right. I think it's very clear to say that this is the best Dolphins team that we've had probably since we've been alive. And when the offensive line is healthy, when we have our DBs back, Nick Needham just tore his Achilles. If we have Xavier Howard healthy, Byron Jones back, this new rookie, Kadir, whatever his name is, who's been elite. PFS rated him like one of the best rookie defenders in the league. If our team is healthy, Tua included, this Dolphins team, I think the sky's the limit for them. Before Zach comes on, he should be on in a minute or two. I want to talk about the Miami Heat with you because we're both big Miami Heat fans, and I've been waiting for basketball. They're back. They lost the Bulls last night in the season opener. They were without Victor Oladipo. They were without Omer Yurtseven, even though we don't know how much he was going to play. But what is the outlook for the Miami Heat going forward? Where do you see them going this year? How far do you see them going this year? And do you think there are any potential moves that can be made with this roster to help us improve after this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we didn't make many moves in the offseason to really improve our team. I think we kind of just took the approach of hoping guys like Bam Adebayo, Strus, Vincent, all those guys that we have that are younger kind of develop and mold their game and take that next step, especially Tyler Hero, who in this first game looked
amazing.
He has, yes.
Amazing.
He's definitely seemed to be taking the steps necessary. Bam Adebayo, it's one game, but he's still.
I'm not worried about Bam.
He still looks like he has the same issues as he did in years prior. But as the season goes on, as he gets in a rhythm. Yeah, but I feel players, a lot of the time they need time to get in the rhythm of shooting and get on a hot streak, especially someone who's not traditionally a shooter like Bam.
Yeah.
So, give him a couple games, let him start feeling his shot out. I don't doubt that he can start playing better. But as far as how far I think this team can go, I mean, I think we can go as far as we did last year, if that makes sense. I don't know if we're necessarily a contender at this point, just because I don't think we have the scoring at the end of the day to kind of keep up with a lot of these teams in the East.
Look, I hear you 100%, but I am going to respectfully disagree, and I think this might be one of the first disagreements you've ever actually had on Make Your Point. I expect Oladipo to be back soon. Hopefully Yurtseven gets some work too, and I think when this team is fully healthy, I think they're going to the finals. I think they can make it as far, if not farther than they did last year. However, they probably will run into the Warriors if they do make it to the finals, and I think that they are definitely the clear-cut favorites to win the championship again. That being said, we've talked both Dolphins and Heat, had a lot of fun with these sports. I think Zach is going to come on here in just a second. Cool. All right, guys, I do want to switch gears for a second. We're in the middle of fantasy sports season. We're in our fantasy football league. We're doing fantasy basketball too. So in the midst of all this fantasy nonsense, I want to do our own draft here. And because we're such big Miami sports fans, I thought we'd be able to pull some players out of our butts and have some fun with this. So let's talk about, I want to hear your most random, favorite, most obscure Miami athletes. So let's draft. We'll do 5 rounds. We'll do a snake draft. It should be pretty fun, go pretty fast. I'll go first. With my first pick, I'm going to go with running back Ronnie Brown from the Miami Dolphins. Legend back home, wasn't on the team for too long. All right, Jesse, why don't you go next?
What home is he a legend in, out of curiosity?
My home. He's a legend in my home.
Like just your bedroom though, right?
My
yeah, like his dorm, his side of his dorm.
All right, Jesse, why don't you go next? Give me your random athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, growing up, he was always one of my favorites. Played for the Miami Dolphins, of course. That is wide receiver Brian Hartline.
You. Sorry.
Currently the wide receivers coach. Or no, is he the head coach at Ohio State right now?
He's definitely not the head coach at Ohio State.
Well, he's coaching at Ohio State right now.
Hey, good for Brian Hartline.
Big candidate to break out into the NFL scene, and so yeah, man, like he's sick.
Legend, Brian Hartline. All right, Zach, you're up. You got 2 picks.
I'm gonna go ahead and for this first of these 2, I'm gonna go ahead and switch sports. Take us to the Miami Heat. I'm gonna go with someone. He's not very obscure. People know him, but he was never a star. He was definitely a very solid role player on a incredible team. That guy's gonna be Mario Chalmers. Is who I'm taking with my first pick.
That's good.
Just I
Mario
think is a
Chalmers.
very, very solid pick.
Yeah.
And next I'm going to go with somebody who was pretty good for the Dolphins, taking it back to football. Definitely the biggest appeal, though, is when you go to the games and they would say his name out loud, and that is Issa Abdul Qaddus. So that's gonna be my my number 2 pick right there.
And remind me, what position did you play?
I believe safety or
Safety.
corner.
Okay.
I think
Defense.
safety.
Yeah, great pull. Great pull. Jesse, why don't you give me your second round obscure athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to follow the trend and go with someone from the Miami Heat. I'm going to take the flat top king himself, Norris Cole, the legend.
Norris Cole.
Didn't last much off of the Miami Heat. I think he had a stint with the Grizzlies at one point, maybe 1 or 2 seasons. I know he played overseas, but this guy was a baller. I remember seeing him on that 2000. We made that run in 2014. He was a pretty big piece off our bench. I had hope that he would become something. I thought he would like have a good tenure in the league.
Yeah, he's playing overseas in like France right now, or he's playing on the USA FIBA teams and stuff right now. He's overseas, but that's a good one. I got 2 picks here, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna switch back to the Miami Dolphins real quick. I'm gonna take wide receiver Devon Bess, who was there for a little bit. Also, very memorable player in my household. Love Devon Bess. Had a jersey of his, I'm pretty sure. Now back to the Heat. My first pick of the 3rd round of Miami random athletes. I'm gonna take shooting guard for the Miami Heat, Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson, gave him $50 million. Classic guy, missing tooth, afro. What a guy, just bounced out of the league. But Tyler Johnson, man, he has to be at the top of the most random Miami athletes that pretty much only Miami fans would know. But Jesse, give me your 3rd round pick.
For this pick, I'm going to go with a guy who he had a few tenures around the league in the NFL. He's a legend. Give me Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
Dude, I remember that year. What was it? 2016 that he was on the team.
That experiment. And then we had Osweiler after that.
Bro, he wasn't bad. He was not bad at all. Like
that's a lie because he was bad.
He was
no.
He was bad.
There were definitely some games where you watched him and you thought to yourself like man, this isn't so bad for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and then the rest of the games you were like, man, this is so bad for the Dolphins.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't get to experience good quarterback play. So even when it's bad,
that's true.
It's just normal. It's like, oh, okay, like we just have a bad quarterback. What else to expect?
That's valid.
All right, Zach, give me your 3rd round pick.
I'm actually going to take this Dolphins quarterback pattern, someone else who has had tenures around the league, somebody who he may not be obscure. He has done some pretty notable things, certainly not a star. I'm going to go with Chad Henne. I think
great pick.
I think a classic. I really enjoyed having him on the team. I was pretty young at the time. I think that was around the 2013. Or 2014, 15 maybe. Just in that general time period, I remember some really bad football, and he was just the center of that bad football. And so it's a classic. With my 4th round pick, I'm going to go with somebody who got a little bit more playing time in Miami, had a little bit more success, somebody who I don't think is really obscure. Definitely not as famous to people who are not from Miami. He was with us for a few really good years, and that is going to be Shane Battier.
Oh, Shane Battier. That's great. Jesse, what about you?
Yeah, I'm also going to follow that trend. Go with someone on the Miami Heat who was a pretty big contributor to some of our championship teams. Often goes underrated and under-recognized, and that is the big man, Joel Anthony.
I was deciding between those two. Excellent pick.
Joel Anthony was my next pick. That was great. Really good. All right, so here coming up, these are my last 2 picks. Oh, this is hard because there are so many amazing players I could go with. I'm staring at a long list in front of me, but if I had to pull two players, I would say number one is running back Jay Ajayi from the Miami Dolphins, legend, Super Bowl champ, and esports legend. And I'm also going with point guard Shabazz Napier.
Oh yes, classic, classic.
LeBron's favorite player, and then he left. Just give me your last pick of the draft.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take the first Miami Marlins player off the board. He
Miami
mainly
Marlins
played
or Florida Marlins?
He played for both. He was there for both.
Okay.
He was a very good player at the time. I mean, our franchise has kind of been in the shitter for a while, so
I really hope you're gonna say someone specific.
My guy's Hanley Ramirez.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking. Yeah, he was good though. He was like just a very good player.
He's good, but it's just people forget about him.
Yeah,
that's true. People do forget about him.
These are the forgotten heroes of South Florida. But Zach, to round out our draft, who you got?
Well, I would not describe this guy as a forgotten hero. Forgotten maybe hero, that might be pushing it. But definitely a hometown hero. The only NFL player to come out of Cooper City High School. I'm gonna go with Lindo Mare. You know, he made it to the NFL, and you know what? He made some money, and that's pretty important. You know,
money's pretty important.
He also played for the Saints, the Seahawks, and definitely took a bunch of money from all of those teams, which he deserved. Undrafted free agent, then taken by the Giants, passed around the league. But he is from Hollywood, Florida, went to high school with my mother, with both of Adam's parents. Yep. How can I leave him off this list? That's my final pick.
Kidding? Cooper City legend Lindo Mare rounds out our Miami sports heroes, forgotten, obscure, random athlete list. Gotta love it. For Make Your Point, this has been super fun, all getting back together. I'm Adam Avin. That's Zach Roisman and Jesse Staple, and we will see you next time, hopefully soon, maybe.